I've seen things you people wouldn't believe.
Charlie, you're quiet. Menstruation?
You want me? Is that what you're saying?
You're my wife.
He's gone, Howard. And you're all alone. We come in alone and we'll go out alone.
What if you fall down? Have you thought of that?
Yeah.
Huh? With your gimpy legs, that's a real possibility. What if you fell into a ditch and you can't get up and nobody can see you? I mean, it is adios padre. But with your mobile phone, you get it out. And if you can see the numbers, your glasses are like, oh, I can't see. Help me, help me. I've fallen and I can't get up.
Guys, 911 calls don't count against your minutes either.
Come on. That's
All right. If I say yes, will you shut the hell up so we can get our train?
I'll shut up.
Okay.
Yeah! Come on.
All right. Welcome back, everyone, to episode 80, another special episode of the Best Thing We've Seen podcast. My name is Flo.
And I'm Gabe. How are you?
Doing okay, man. How you doing?
Tired. I had a miserable day at work. I mean, it was all right. It was just so much to do. And now I'm off. I had something to eat. I had a glass of water. And I think I'm ready for this, a bit of an unconventional episode of our special.
Yeah, it's a special.
It is a special. And I'm especially glad to have it. I don't know.
Well, it's not only the topic, but also like it's another midnight special, right? I think it's the first one in like a year. So we're recording this. Right,
it's so weird
midnight.
for you to say it's the first in a year, because in my head we've only been doing this for like 4 months. But
Like
no,
2
you're
weeks.
right. It's been over a year.
I think so. Yeah. So cue the jazz music. And do you remember that little bar thing that we had, where I put the bar music in, where we had that civilized midnight special? I think I don't remember the episode, but yeah, we were like, usually we're at this time of day, we're in some sort of bar, and then I put a little jazz music in the background, which made me chuckle.
The Matt Damon special, wasn't it?
I think that was a different one. I think maybe, yeah, but that was also a midnight special, right? That was one of the, I don't like that episode, man. That was a terrible episode. I mean, we were not at our best. I mean, that was like 2 a.m. when we started recording. And yeah, we had something to drink before that too. So that was a bit of a shit show, as I like to say.
I mean, yeah, we're quite sober for this
Today.
time of day, and yeah, I mean, I'm glad I am, because we've been drinking the last 2 or 3 days, and I think if I had a beer like right now, I think I would be falling asleep by pick number 5 or whatever.
Yeah, so let's speed it up. Let's keep the energy high.
Let's go.
So the premise of this special, or the gist of it, I should say, is we're going to talk about a topic that is near and dear to my heart, because I love talking about movies that are not widely known. I mean,
sure.
We decided to do it by IMDb ratings. So we're going to talk about 10 things that could be, shows or movies, or, I mean, YouTube videos, not really, because we decided to do it. We got to talk about things that have 50,000 or less IMDb ratings. So it's a weird, limit that we set, but it kind of made sense to us. So we're going to talk about some things that you might have heard of, and hopefully about some things that you've never heard of before. And we've talked about this quite a few times before we started recording this. The ranking on this is not as important as it usually is. Not that it's ever important, but we're just going to talk about 10 things. There's so many things to choose from, and we're just going to talk about 10. And it's not like really I don't have like the best underrated thing ever. It's just like, we're going to talk about 10 things, and it's going to be interesting. No idea what's going to be on your list.
I honestly, I have no idea for you either. I have one guess, since I know you love this thing, and
Sure.
I saw it was like, I don't know, 40,000 ratings. Who knows? Could be dead wrong right here, especially since we do include shows here. I have no idea what you've seen in the show department, because I saw that. The problem is with IMDb, I so rarely rate shows, so I didn't have it on my radar. Then I looked a couple of shows up, but yeah, no idea.
Right. And also what's important is that we're not going to mention, or we're not going to talk about things that we have talked about before on the podcast. Like, what's a good example of that? Like
Over the garden
normal
wall.
people. Right.
Normal people.
Yeah. Oh, I thought Over the Garden Wall might... Okay. I I thought it might make your list, but you talked about it before.
I decided against it. I think I've talked about it quite a bit here and there, and I think I gave it as a recommendation back when the lockdown started, and we talked about recommendations to give.
Yeah.
And I also excluded a couple of older foreign movies because old Kurosawa movies, because Kurosawa is a very much highly regarded director, but some of his movies just don't have the ratings on IMDb. Doesn't mean that they're not well loved or not well known. It's just maybe the people who watch these kinds of movies just don't rate them as much on like IMDb.
100%.
So I excluded them. Otherwise, this would be my top 10 Japanese samurai movie list.
Yeah. No, I did the same thing with like Brian De Palma movies because so many of them have like less than 50,000 ratings, and I love so many of his films, but for the same reasons, I excluded them. And as I said, like Normal People has like 48,000 ratings at the time of this recording. So, but we talked about it before, so we're going to talk about things that we haven't yet.
Yes, I'm sorry, and also of course things that aren't like that just came out, because of course they don't have a lot of ratings yet. But
the most current thing ever. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, would you want to tell everyone how we do these special episodes, and should we dive right into it afterwards?
Yeah, sure. Normally we talk about the best thing that we've seen from a person or from a genre, but like you said, this time it's the best underrated thing that we think we could recommend to other people. The order, like you said, isn't as important as always, but we're going to do this in the form of a top 10 list. We're going to count down from 10 to 1. And yeah, then maybe postpone our discussions, or maybe this is a thing that we won't do this episode because it makes less sense if I have something on my 8 and you're 3.
You're right.
I don't think it's as bad. So
that's a good point. But I doubt we have anything in common.
I think maybe one thing.
You think we do? Okay.
The rest I would be shocked if you had it anywhere near your list, but
right.
Who knows? Who the fuck knows?
Who knows? Yeah. Who starts this week? Do you know?
Well, that's a good point. Wait, I got our beautiful channel open. Let me give it a look. It started with Kristen Stewart. Oh, I'm sorry. You hear some clicking? Oh my god, I'm so sorry. And it was
me. Yeah. Okay, so please, Gabe, do we anything else we need to talk about before? I think we mentioned everything, right?
I think so. I'm just very I have no idea what could be in the intro now. I think this is going to be the most interesting intro and cover ever.
I haven't even thought about that. Well, the cover has to be some stills from some of the things where people look in the center. And
sure.
The intro is just going to be like a couple of short clips from the things we discuss. You know, it's the same struggle every week. But let's go. We got a lot to discuss, and I don't want to sit here till like 3 a.m. So let's see what we got.
Could be. So, well, my number 10 is Edmond, a movie that we watched together. I knew this was going to be a reaction.
I didn't even like that film, but great, please.
I know, but that movie has like 11,000 ratings.
Yeah.
And I think it's so underrated because it's a movie that I would have never fucking seen if it hadn't been for a friend of ours. I think we had a movie trivia night, and afterwards he was like, "You want to watch a movie?" And this guy has like the biggest fucking movie collection that I've ever seen live.
Yeah, don't stroke his ego too much. He doesn't need it.
He doesn't listen to this. And Edmond is a movie with William H. Macy, who is probably most known for what's the show called? Ruthless? No.
Shameless.
Shameless, that's it.
That's a different
Something
one.
less. But here, William H. Macy is ruthless. It's a guy in his midlife crisis who just spirals out of control. And it becomes quite absurd at times, and to how far it goes, especially since it's got a bit of a supernatural element to it.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect anything out of this movie. And it's very weird. Like, the interaction is very stage-like. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is based on a play. But it was actually written by David Mamet, who wrote Glengarry, Glen Ross, and other big movies.
Yes, it's one of the most prestigious writers and especially writers in Hollywood. Yeah, great writer, big fan.
Yeah. And this just seems like something so fucking different, and I have never seen anything like it, to be honest. And I don't think I would have ever seen this movie. I don't think many people have like
No,
ever.
this is definitely, as far as I'm aware, a hidden gem. Yes.
Yes.
I wouldn't call it a gem, but it's a
I
hidden
was
gem.
just about to say, not a gem for you. It is for me.
Yeah.
I'd love to buy it on Blu-ray sometime. I have no idea how it would like come close to this piece of art, but
I don't think even he owned it on Blu-ray. I think we actually watched it on DVD.
it could be.
I'm not sure if there's a Blu-ray for this one.
I mean, I looked it up. It is on Prime to rent, but I don't think it's on the original version. I think it's just in German, at least on Prime Germany.
I forgot to look up the things where they're available to stream. We're
did
going to cut
every
this.
single thing.
No, we're going to have a little break now, but I'm going to cut this. I'm going to have to look this up. I'm going to have to look this up. But but only after you're done with Edmond.
Sure.
Sorry, but you said this was on Prime, but not in English. Sorry, what was it?
I don't think it's on there in English. Wait, my list right here. It's no, sorry, not even on Prime. Not on Prime at all. Nowhere to be found. I'm sorry.
You did your
another
research
thing.
too. Yeah.
I couldn't find it anywhere. My guess is if you want to watch this and you don't live in, like, I don't know, England or the US, you gotta order it from there, because I don't know, the DVD is like widely available, and I don't think it's a thing that will be coming to streaming platforms soon.
Well, these hidden gems you need to seek out, you need to find a way to watch them. Or have
Sure.
friends
I
that
mean-
own it on Blu-ray or DVD, I guess.
I mean, the internet is vast, but even for the internet, this is fucking like very obscure of a pick.
No, for sure.
But if you have ever a chance to see this, I mean, the cover doesn't look great and the ratings aren't that good, but I think if you give it a chance, and maybe you're like me and this could be the thing that just blew you away, something that you keep thinking about, like, it's been like, I don't know, 5 years since I've seen this.
Yeah.
And it's still in the back of my mind. So my number 10, Edmond.
And Macy is always great. I'm a big fan of his too.
He's a cool actor. He's quite different here.
Yeah.
He has some I mean, he kind of reminds me at the beginning more of the guy from Fargo. And then during the runtime of this movie, he just spirals so out of control. Like, he's like so resentful. Like, everybody's such a shitty person. Why is everybody so fucking bad? And while saying this, he just descends into fucking madness pretty much.
Yeah.
So
it's a good pick. I didn't think that we're going to talk about this one today. But yeah.
If not today, then when?
Yeah. All right. So my number 10 is Birth.
Of who?
Birth of no one. It's just called Birth. It's stars Nicole Kidman. I think it's from 2004. I think Edmond is like 2005. I think Birth is like 2004.
Yeah.
A movie directed by Jonathan Glazer, who did Under the Skin and Sexy Beast. We talked about him before, and I don't know if I ever mentioned Birth, but Birth is fantastic. So Nicole Kidman, she has a husband that suddenly dies, and then there's a cut in the beginning of the film, like 10 years later, and she's about to marry her boyfriend, and then a small boy enters her life. And a random kid just shows up at some party who claims to be her dead husband reborn. Now, I don't know how much we need to talk about plot in this.
Wow. Okay.
Right? I think this is more than enough.
Honestly,
I don't think I need to tell you anything more than that.
I am intrigued.
It's a phenomenal film. I struggled like deciding whether or not to put like really like underrated hidden gems on there, or like just the ones that I have like rated the highest, that have like the close to 50,000 ratings. I decided to do the first thing. Sorry. This is not like, I wouldn't consider this like a perfect film or one of my favorite films, but it is one of my favorite hidden gems, if that makes any sense. It's a film that I've never really talked about with anyone in my close circle. It's just, I've seen like videos on YouTube, and I don't quite remember where I first heard of this. But a couple of years ago, I saw this, and I was blown away by its tone and the premise, as I think you are as well. The premise is just great, and it's just this eerie little film that is creepy in a way, and that is, you don't quite know where it's going and whether or not who's telling the truth, and is there a supernatural element to it, and the whole city and like the buildings it takes place in, those are like burned into my mind too. The tone is really just eerie. That describes it perfectly, and beautiful in a way. In a twisted way, quite beautiful. It's a great film. It's available on Amazon, by the way. I looked it up.
I gotta say, I'm surprised that Jonathan Glazer did a movie back in 2004. I thought his directing career was something relatively recent with like Sexy Beast and Under Skin. Like
Sexy Beast was even before that. It was 2000.
Was it? Okay, and I was thinking of something else maybe. Interesting, okay.
He hasn't done a lot of features.
Okay.
But I think Sexy Beast is his first one.
But apparently he is into weird stories, which is great. I mean, those movies are the ones that stick with you the longest in a way.
Yeah. Oh, and you described Birth perfectly for me. Though that film, I don't know when I watched it exactly. I could look it up, but who cares? It's still with me to this day, and I want to rewatch it. I haven't found it yet on Blu-ray. But it's when we talk about hidden gems, and I've mentioned this before, I just love talking about movies like this. There's nothing better to me than finding a hidden gem, and that I can share with people, and that people share with me, and then sort of give that film or show a little bit more love than it had previously. So Birth is definitely one of those films. That's my number 10.
So you're going more for actual hidden gems.
It's a mixture, dude. I'm always struggling. Okay. The next one is going to be a bit more mainstream, I think.
Okay, I thought you were also just going for whatever's under 50k, and I think I went more for, except for maybe Edmond, is things that I thought were really big or apparently aren't, and I think could use another shout out, because I think they're kind of big movies, but whenever I bring them up, pretty much no one has seen them except maybe the people that I saw it with in the cinemas in, I don't know how many years ago.
Yeah. It's you know, we can interpret the hidden gem thing however we want, but the main thing is it's got less than 50,000 IMDb ratings. What's your 9?
My 9 is one of those, I think, big ones
that
I watched with my brothers, and then I think I recommended it to some friends, and now it's a bit of a running joke. And I think you've seen it as well. But it is a Danish movie, so I don't think most people have seen it, and it's Adam's Apples.
Oh, dude, I thought we were going to have like a situation where I'm like, oh, it's so fascinating. Okay, I don't have this one on the list, but I have a different film from that filmmaker on my list.
Oh, interesting.
Yep.
I think I probably haven't seen it.
I don't know.
Whatever you're going to mention, but we'll get to it. So Adam's Apples is about a neo-Nazi who gets, I think, community service and then has to join a pasture to work off his hours. And there he, of course, meets Matt Mickelson, who is the priest there, who wants one job done from him, which is to make an apple pie, just one goal to work towards. And that's pretty much the movie. Those very different guys, like Matt Mickelson being this overly positive guy versus a fucking neo-Nazi who is violent and fucking racist and such a bad person, but Matt Mickelson just isn't, can't break his spirits. And it's such a funny combination of characters. Also, the other people who live there. And I think it's such a quotable movie. Just there's so many funny lines, so many one-liners that you can just quote to your friends. And I do this to this day. Like
in Danish?
I wish it was. Like I first watched this in German, so I do quote some parts in German.
Right.
Because I don't think anybody would get me otherwise. But
no,
I've
never seen this
as
German.
well, right?
Yeah, I have seen this, but I haven't seen it in German. But
okay.
Sure. No, I mean, I love the premise, by the way, too. Just with the apple pie at the end. It's like, who doesn't want to watch that film? Like these premises of these like smaller films are always great.
I do love those, like, no big stakes, but just so fucking stupid or simple. And it just makes it, in a way, more enjoyable, I guess, because you don't have to take them as serious.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a great idea, and I love the setting of it as well. Just like that whole, it takes part in this secluded area in this chapel, or would you call it a chapel? Church.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's a weird fucking film. It's a weird fucking film, but it's a good film. And directed and written by Anders Thomas Jensen. And I mentioned we're going to talk about another film of his soon. So perfect that you put this on your list. And,
I'm so interested in what else the dude did, but I guess I'm about to find out.
Yeah, I mean, I have it a little bit higher on my list now. I don't know.
Okay, sure.
Do you want me to put it? Do you want me to talk about it now? I don't care about the rating, the ranking, really.
If you want. Sure.
Well,
So
I
what's your
had it
9?
as my number 4, but
Okay.
let's say it's my 9. It's the Green Butchers. Now, this was before Adam's Apples.
Oh, is the German title Dänische Delikatessen?
That's the one.
Dude, that's so fucking funny because when I put this list together, when I put Adam's Apples on, a friend of mine was at my place and she said, why not put this movie on the list, right?
Right.
And I said, well, because I haven't seen it. And I guess I should have because...
Impeccable taste, whoever that person was. Impeccable taste. I love this film. As I said, this was actually my 4. Do you know what this is about? I mean, I'm going to try and keep up with the premises here. I mean,
I think it's somehow about cannibalism.
Yeah. I mean, do I need to say more?
I mainly know the poster, which is a meat grinder with a foot sticking in it. And I wanted to watch this
people
movie.
in it, isn't it? There's like 2 people
Sure.
in the meat
Is
grinder.
there?
The one I'm
Maybe?
looking at least, yeah.
Okay, maybe. Because I want to watch this movie with that person multiple times. But that person always wanted to watch in German. I was like, nah, if I watch this, I want to watch it in Danish. And didn't end up watching it. But it's cool to see that it's on that list because it gives me even more reason to finally watch it.
Was Adam's Apples available on Amazon too? Because this
Sorry.
one is.
Adam's Apple is available to rent on Prime, but I think...
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I think it
German
is
or
there
Danish?
in Danish. And I think you can even watch it with an art house subscription.
Oh, look at
which
that.
Another movie on my list is as well.
Perfect.
There you go.
So Green Butchers is also on Amazon. I actually own that on Blu-ray. They did like a release of all of those films a couple months or years ago, and I love that. So you said it. It's about cannibalism. It's about these two friends who open up work at a butchery. They Jesus Christ. They work at one and then they open up their own. They open up their own, and one thing leads to another, and they don't have any meat to sell. So I think what happens is that one person accidentally gets stuck or gets locked in the big freezer overnight, and then they open up the door in the morning and there's a dead body in there. And they don't know what to do to get rid of it. And so Mads Mikkelsen, by the way, I mean, one of my favorite actors of all time by now. I would love to do a special on him, but the main reason I wanted to do a special on him was because I wanted to talk about the Green Butchers. So we don't need to do that anymore. Just look him up on IMDb for this film. It's the best haircut of all time. It's unbelievable. And the guy, the way he's able to transform in every film, I think we've mentioned this before. He's just... I absolutely adore that dude. In Green Butchers, the other guy who's in it is, I don't know how to pronounce his name, I'm sorry, Nikolai Lee Kaas, who I know and love from all of these, like, I thought about putting them on the list, those Danish crime dramas. I own all of those on Blu-ray. And,
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think those are based on, Jussi Adler Olsen novels, so very... popular crime novels, and they made movies of that. So he's in the Green Butchers too, and it's about them sort of selling human meat to people who don't know, who think they're buying chicken, basically. And all the absurdity around it too. I mean, there's so many more subplots to this, but I feel like, once again, if this doesn't sell you, then the rest of it won't. But it's got like a fantastic little cherry on top at the end too, figurative cherry on top.
Dude, I gotta say, I should really watch this. And I think it might also be in the art house subscription. So if you get the art house subscription, this is not sponsored, by the way. Nothing ever is here. But I think if you get the art house subscription for the Amazon Prime channel, which is like an extra $3 a month or whatever, I think you could see like 3 or 4 movies on these lists.
Yeah.
For free, pretty much. I mean, for free. So you gotta pay the rest subscription, but instead of renting them.
Yeah. I mean, this is just a fantastic film. And if you love Adam's Apples, then you'll definitely enjoy this one too.
Sure.
That's the Green Butchers. My 9, I guess. What do you got?
Well, I got my 8, and once again a Danish film. Because I would be so surprised if this wasn't in your list.
It's going to be my two. It's going to be my two.
Okay, because it's the guilty.
Yeah, that's my two.
Okay,
I mean, we're kind of on a roll here. I guess this is my 8. Yeah.
The guilty. I think we've kind of mentioned it before very shortly on the Jake Gyllenhaal special, because he's set to star in the American remake of this movie by the same director, Gustav Möller. Sounds correct? I think, isn't it?
No, I thought it was Fuqua who did this. And
then I'm very wrong. I thought he was supposed to also direct the new one.
I think
maybe it was just a rumor, or
directed by Antoine Fuqua. And the weird shit is that there's so many actors in it in the remake. Because the great thing about The Guilty, the original one, is that it takes place in one room on one guy. And there's a few other police officers in that room, right? I think. But other than that, you only get to see him. So the remake stars like so many: Paul Dano, Ethan Hawke, Peter Sarsgaard, Riley Keough, Jake Gyllenhaal, Bill Burr. I don't know. Are they all just going to be voices, or are they actually going to be in it?
I'm so sure that they are going to show more, because, like you said, it is about a guy in a police station who just takes a 911 call and tries to help that person. You just see it from this guy's perspective. But there's also a bit of backstory about how he got to that job, how he got demoted and everything. I wouldn't be surprised if they showed like flashbacks and shit like that and just make the movie awful.
Yeah.
Which, is like a thing that happens so many times with American remakes.
Yeah. I rate Fuqua as a director, and I love Jake Gyllenhaal as you do, but we'll see. Let's talk about the original one, which is one of my favorite movie-going experiences in recent years. When I saw this in theaters, there was literally a moment where I put my hands up to my face in shock. Like the whole, like the cliche hand movement that you can all picture now, I think, that rarely happens in real life, at least for me. I actually did that during this film, in that 90-minute film where it's a police officer who works in like a dispatch center who gets a call from a distressed woman who is sort of like in the back seat of a car trying to, I think it was order like a pizza. She's trying to tell him, he quickly notices that she's trying to tell him that she's being kidnapped. And it's him trying to help that person, but it's all on him. You only see him, and the whole film takes place in your head. And I mean, it's not going to get better than this in terms of premises, right?
I mean, it's still so fucking riveting to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much going on, and the actor who portrays the main guy, Jacob Cedergren, I don't know how to fucking pronounce his name, I'm so sorry.
That was beautiful.
Amazing. Fucking amazing. Because, the camera is on him the whole fucking time, and his expressions to when they're like how the story unfolds is fucking magnificent. Yeah. He's so good.
100%. And I do think I mentioned this. I think this was my 1 or 2 on one of our specials, one of our top 10 discussions before we did the podcast.
Yeah, end of the year list. Yeah.
And I think actually both of you watched it by now. I think you both bought it on Blu-ray or something like that.
Could be. And I just want to say, I think this is one of my favorite recommendations of yours in the last couple of years. I loved this movie. It was so fucking different. It was just something so new. Yeah.
I mean, I love it. That's what it's about. Hidden gem numbered. I don't know. I lost count. I don't even know how to continue. My 2 has been mentioned. My I have no idea anymore. My 4 has been mentioned.
Yeah.
Let's just do the next one, right? Let's do the next one.
What's your next? I think 8. I mean, your 8 was okay.
Yeah.
You go ahead.
Yeah.
You go ahead.
Let's do Old Man at the Gun.
Sure.
Is that on your list?
That was my honorable mention. I didn't pick it.
Right.
It lost to Edmond.
How dare you? I mean, Old Man at the Gun, probably the most recent film on my list. Must have been, 2 or 3 years ago now?
Well, maybe The Guilty isn't that old either, is it? I think it's both. I think maybe 2018.
I mean, that's embarrassing that I didn't.
Could be wrong.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. We just talked about a pretty recent film. And yeah, you're right. I think, when was The Guilty? That was both were 2018. Both are 2018.
Yeah, right.
So Old Man at the Gun, directed by...
Sorry.
Yeah?
The rewind. The Guilty is available on Amazon Prime original version. There you go.
Didn't I say this? I thought I
think
said
it's
this.
good.
Okay, I'm
Did
sorry.
you?
No, I
Maybe.
don't know. I don't know.
I don't know. Who the fuck knows it with this special?
It's included in Prime, right?
I think so, yeah.
I think so, yeah. You're right. No, good that you mentioned it, though.
I love this episode.
We're
Let's
having
go.
fun. So, Old Man and the Gun, written and directed by David Lowery, who is now doing The Green Knight, which, we actually gave it away. We got to see that recently. We're going to talk about that next week. But what a delight of a film. The Old Man and the Gun, and especially for people who love and respect Robert Redford the same way that I do. Because I love that dude. But it's so many great films.
I'm still so I'm still so surprised by your love for Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
See, I love these discussions with you because I don't think I've ever mentioned my love for Sundance, Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid with you. I like that film.
We've talked about this multiple times, dude.
No, we have definitely not talked about Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid multiple
definitely,
times.
Maybe not in the podcast, but we've talked about this like once or twice. Yeah,
I don't think so.
Yeah, of course, that's how I know it. How else would I know this?
Well, I think you must be mistaken. You must be wrong. I mean, I like
it's
that
a blind guess. I don't think we talked about this. I don't know how, because I think I mentioned this, that I watched it, and you're like, oh, dude, I loved it. And then we talked about a couple of scenes, I think, especially like the ending. And you professed your love for this movie.
I remember when you saw this film and you talked about it when we had like a sneak, and you mentioned that you finally understood like the references that you saw like in South Park or whatever. But I mean, we digress as we like to do.
As always, yeah.
But I mean, it's a fair film to bring up because Redford, like obviously The Sting, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. He did a film called Quiz Show, which he directed. One of my favorite films, but unfortunately has more than 50,000 ratings. But I snuck it in there. I snuck it in there.
Sure.
And so many other films, I just find him so charming. And David Lowery, he really did like maybe like a love letter to his career with this film, because it is about an old guy with a gun. No, like an old. I mean, it says it's based on a true story, right? Which I think they maybe they took some liberties, maybe.
I think it's based like on a news article, and then they kind of invented a backstory to that news article.
Right.
Pretty much.
So it's basically about the most charming criminal gangster out there, because it's a guy. I mean, all he can do is like rob banks and do shit with his old friends and get caught. He gets caught, and then he goes to prison, and then he breaks out again, and just a cycle that starts over again. And in this film, it's like a 90-minute film again. It's just with fantastic music. It's like that movie is a comfort blanket for me, with the music, with the actors in it. Casey Affleck in it too, who's the detective that's hunting him, and Sissy Spacek as a love interest. And there's even like they show clips of his old movies, like when they talk about his character, and they actually use clips of his old movies as like a little Easter egg or whatever. It is a love letter to his career, and it's so good, man. I love that film. Saw it multiple times.
It's pretty good. And I think they also use a clip from, I think, The Chase, it's called. Also, I guess a bit of an honorable mention here, under 50K, with Marlon Brando.
Oh,
good
do
movie.
they?
Yeah, pretty much at the end, because,
right.
Like clips of him being young and being in trouble, and The Chase about him breaking out of prison, and Marlon Brando is the sheriff in the town.
See, I haven't seen that one.
It's good. It's good. I think you'd like it.
I'm sure it would. And also, of course, the voice himself. What's his name? Just had him, lost it. No. Tom Waits in this.
Right.
Yep. Danny Glover. Lovely little film. That's really got me. That's my whatever 8. I don't know.
Tom Waits is gonna make an appearance later on.
Oh gosh. Okay? Sure.
Maybe
we'll get to it.
Yeah. All right.
I know which one you're talking about.
So I think it's my 7.
That's just go on.
Which is a movie that I watched again today, because why not? And it's 20th Century Women, a movie that we saw in a sneak like 5 years ago.
Wow.
I think it came out in 2016.
Yeah.
And this is one of my favorite sneaks, like memories. It might not have been like the best movie of all, but I just enjoyed this movie so much, because once again, it's a movie that I wasn't looking forward to. I wasn't paying it much attention. But it was just such a good experience,
Yeah.
Since it is just about a couple of people living in the same house, in, I think, 1979, and it's mainly about a single mother and her child, and her not being completely able to deal with her son, not knowing how to teach him, how to grow up, since especially their dad isn't with them and can kind of ask the whole house of their tenants and other people to help her raise this kid, to give him some advice, to be there for him. And it stars, among others, as Annette Bening as the mother, or Elle Fanning as a friend, or Greta Gerwig, Greta Gerwig, which is so strange to see her as an actress, but I think she's really fucking good in this.
Well, she started off as an actress, didn't she?
Yeah, sure. But now she's like taking off as a director.
Yeah.
Which is great for her. I mean, but it's also got Billy Crudup.
Yeah, Crudup. Yeah.
And as the kid, Lucas Jade Zuman, I think his name is.
Sure.
Is that?
I have no idea.
And I thought this kid would really take off, after 20th Century Women. Sadly, he didn't, I think, but I think he's just great in this.
Yeah.
And an aspect of this movie that I love so much is the music. Since Greta Gerwig's character kind of tries to connect with the kid with music and punk music and the Talking Heads and music that I love as well. And it's just so cool to see. And I recently saw an interview with Jeff Bridges talking about Tarantino. And the first time he saw like Pulp Fiction, it was like a bit of an awakening, to see something so different once again. And he hadn't had this since he listened to the Talking Heads in the 70s.
Right. And
I kind of get this. It's such a special band. It's such a cool soundtrack. And I love the way they tell the story, which is not just to, show it progress normally, but then they kind of cut in with focusing on a character and like when they were born and how did they end up where they're now. And I think it's, something that I talked to a couple of people like, dude, I really love this movie, but I don't think any of them have seen it except for the people that I saw it with in cinemas, like you, for example.
Right. There's I don't know why, but a quote from that film has stayed with me for all this time, which rarely happens, but it's like, I think it's the mother looking at pictures from them like partying or whatever. And she goes like, I'm never able to see my son in his element because as soon as is it something like that? As soon as she's there, he's going to change, obviously.
Right. I think she talks with Greta Gerwig because she was out with the kid.
Right.
She's like, I'm so jealous because I'll never see him in his natural state, I think she says.
Right. That's a beautiful quote.
And then, she gives him a photo to kind of let her see what he's like when he's not being watched by his mom, when he can be himself.
Yep.
Yeah, you're right. That's a beautiful moment.
Yep. By the way, Old Man and the Gun is on Amazon.
I love this.
Available for $4. How about yours?
20th Century Women is up for grabs. You can rent it on Amazon Prime.
It's up for grabs. Be quick.
I don't know what's coming out of my mouth right now. I think also $4, but also included in the Art House subscription. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back.
It's like Disney Plus. What's going on?
I don't know, dude. I just would love to be sponsored. I need money.
Yeah. Anybody.
So that's my 7. I mean, what did you think of the movie?
Yeah, I didn't love this as much as you did. I remember Maxie loved this one too. I think this might have been up there on his ranking. I think it was maybe higher up there. Yeah. I love that moment that I mentioned, but other than that, I thought it was fine. I don't want to bash it because I thought it was fine, It didn't really, it didn't blow me away.
I think it's got some nice messages about like feminism and sexuality and being open about, talking about a couple of things, especially when you're young and not being used to such talk. And people who grew up without saying, I don't know, menstruation, which is a scene in this movie. And it kind of becomes awkward if you don't just, let it out. There's nothing bad about those words, I
mean, I didn't grow up with menstruation.
You didn't? Poor you.
I love how you said that. For people who didn't grow up with menstruation.
Just saying those words. You know
what
I mean?
I know what you. I knew what you meant. Yeah, sure.
11:30, 12.
No, I knew what you meant. I was just
whatever.
Just doing them. It's 1 p.m. Right.
Right. What's your 7?
Let's do a quick one because I really don't want to say. For the next film I'm going to talk about, basically we're going to have a bit of an issue here because this is not available anywhere. You got to seek out the DVD or Blu-ray, which I even haven't been able to do. I don't even remember where I saw this, but it was like I've been trying to track down the DVD or Blu-ray. But I'm going to talk about a film, and I don't want you to look this up or look up the trailer or anything. You're going to go by my recommendation. That's it, because the trailer for this film, it gives away everything you don't want to know.
Are you talking to me or the listeners?
Both.
Okay.
Both.
Because I would never look up a trailer.
No, but even IMDb.
Okay.
So the film is called The Hidden Face. I think it is Spanish. I don't want to butcher the pronunciation of the original
please
one.
do.
Well, it's La Cara Oculta. I think it's Spanish.
A bit more gusto.
No.
Okay.
No. You got what you wanted. You can say it. You can say it.
I already forgot
Portuguese.
it.
La Cara Oculta. Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
So I'm gonna. It's a mystery thriller from 2011, and it's basically. For the first time, I don't really want to tell you anything about the film. It's a kind of a creepy film, but not like a horror film.
Okay.
But there's people it's about a relationship and about someone testing a relationship. And the thing she does to test the relationship goes horribly wrong. But it has there's a thing involved in there. I'm trying to stay as vague as possible.
You are, don't worry.
That makes it so fantastic. And I don't actually remember if I knew what was going on beforehand. I think I actually might have done. I might knew it before because I did look up a trailer, and if you look at the comments, everyone goes don't watch this stupid trailer. Let's just leave it at that. If my word means anything to you, and I don't know why it should, but if it does for whatever reason, no, I'm being self-deprecating.
It doesn't work if you call yourself out, but sure.
I needed to because you didn't jump on the train yet.
Sorry, just one more time the title, and can you just tell me when and where it's set, and could you at least compare to another movie, like the vibe that you got from it?
So it's called The Hidden Face. La Cara Oculta.
Sure.
And it's from 2011, and it is set in the present time.
Okay, sure.
And what would I compare this to?
Just from the vibe,
like a typical Spanish thriller.
Sure, this is Secretos de sus ojos. I have no idea.
It's Secretos de sus ojos. Well, that's a bit darker. I mean, darker.
Okay.
This one has a playful element in it that isn't playful for the characters in it, but it is playful for the viewer. Oh man, I'm happy with that description. I'm happy with that description because that actually makes sense.
I'm so confused. I don't know what you expect.
I would be too.
Sure.
I don't even know. I'm trying to think what I could tell you in order to entice you to watch it. But the main thing, what makes this film great is the thing that I don't want to talk about.
Sure. I mean, you want to stay as vague as possible, and you did. So, yeah. I'm interested, but
so
so
the girlfriend. No, I got something.
Okay.
The girlfriend. No, actually, I don't want to say that. I don't want to say. The girlfriend menstruation. Yes.
I mean, period as an end of sentence. But
I got you. Yes, I was making another one of those jokes. What's your next film? Watch The Hidden Face. Take my word for it. Don't look up anything. It's an hour 37. It's a mystery thriller that's gonna, I think, hopefully blow you away if you don't know what's happening.
I'm interested, but I mean, it's always hard if it's available nowhere.
Yeah.
I mean, I talked about Edmond, same fucking problem there.
There's a French Blu-ray. I tried to buy that once. But
There we go,
didn't
people.
Work. Yeah.
The French Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Wow. I know what I'm going to Google.
Yeah.
Sure.
What do you got?
My number 6, which is a movie that I'm so surprised that it didn't get more attention, didn't get more award buzz, and didn't get more love. And I'm not even sure if you've watched this, or even though you love the director, I think.
Here we go.
There we go. It is by Steven Soderbergh, and it's Che Part 1 and 2. I put them together as one, as they should be.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one. Yeah, no.
Che, it's about Che Guevara, the revolutionary from, of course, Cuba, and then from his later adventures, let's call it that.
Sure.
And it's part 1 and 2, and I've put them together since I think this is supposed to be watched as one, but they split it in two because otherwise you would be watching a 5-hour movie, and nobody has that kind of attention span. And I gotta say, I do prefer the first part, just because I think it's a bit more interesting, since the first part is about how Che Guevara and Fidel Castro met in Mexico City and then set off to start the Cuban Revolution. And it's about them fighting this guerrilla warfare, and it's told both in that timeline and also further in the future, where Che Guevara has a talk, first of all, with his interpreter, played by Oscar Isaac. And sorry, of course, Che Guevara is portrayed by Benicio del Toro. Also, I know, maybe known from Loathing Las Vegas. Is that
Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas?
Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Thank you so much. And Sicario and so many other cool things. And also in the new Steven Soderbergh movie, which I've yet to watch.
Yeah, No Sudden Move. Available on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, for $14.
Yeah.
Yay. But this is great. And sorry, he talks to his interpreter when he first, I think, visits the UN, and then gives a great talk there, actually. I mean, he's a controversial figure, Che Guevara. I mean, there's fucking t-shirts of him, and he's been part of a very authoritarian government.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a liberation. It was something that people were oppressed there, but still, was it right to kind of substitute with another government? Was everything they did necessary? But I think it just shows his life and how interesting he was as a person. And then the second part is about him after the revolution and what he did afterwards. And I think this is such an interesting movie. I mean, he's a controversial figure. I think most people don't even know what he actually did. And I think this would be great to kind of give you an insight into that. I don't know how incredibly accurate this is.
Yeah.
But it's got some incredible performances, some great shots being filmed out in the jungle. And it's great. I love this movie, and I'm so surprised that it hasn't gotten more love, because I think it didn't get any like big nominations. I knew very few, actually no people that I know that actually watched this movie, and I was blown away by it. I thought it was great.
Well, these kind of I don't know if it's a biopic, but these kind of films usually don't get much attention.
I mean, they're big biopics. I mean,
no, for sure. I mean, Soderbergh is a big director too.
Yeah.
I mean, I did the Oceans trilogy and Erin Brockovich and many other things. Traffic, but I don't know. I don't know why I didn't watch this. It never really was of much interest to me. I don't know why. These types of films, I need to be in a certain mood for them, and that rarely happens. But so I can't really say anything about it. But I know that the director is someone that I really like, and obviously Del Toro is great. And by the way, it is included in Prime,
but only in German.
Only in German, yes.
I mean, if you're from another country than like Austria or Germany, maybe check it out. Maybe it is on even on your Netflix. We don't know.
We don't know.
But yeah, I good performances. I checked this out because first of all, I really was really interested in Che Guevara, and I loved and do still love Benicio del Toro, and I think it's got a very small cameo in part 1 by Matt Damon.
Well, there you go.
So that's my number 6.
Yeah, in all this confusion, I just realized that I haven't talked about my 9 yet, because
of course.
Of all this. I apologize to the listeners out there for this confusion.
I think nobody would have noticed if you hadn't.
I know, that's just me being, I want to be, accurate to my list,
Sure.
So I forgot to talk about Murder in the First. Right? I know that I think the same person that has seen Green Butchers likes that film too. So I don't know if you've seen it.
Is that right?
Yes, I think so. Have you seen that film, Murder in the First?
I have. You're right. Yeah, she does really like this movie. I just remembered I actually saw it with her. What's it called? What's the prison called?
Alcatraz.
Alcatraz. The Alcatraz movie. Yeah.
And I'm not going to say who that was, but if you know it, then I did my job.
I thought it was good.
Thank you very much. I did the Cage part, the other one, you know. I did, I quoted Cage, now I did the other one. Well, yes, in the Cage special. I did my Cage impression. I'm not going to read, no, I'm not going to read that one. No.
Okay.
It was you got to have to listen to the Cage special again.
Sure.
Where we talk about The Rock, and then you can, you know. So anyway.
So Murder in the First.
We're having fun. So this is Kevin Bacon. Yeah. No, just go with the flow. This
is going to end up like the Matt Damon special, dude.
Yeah. Just with less alcohol. Murder in the First, a movie from 1995, directed by Mark Rocco, written by Dan Gordon. And this is a film about... the main actor is Kevin Bacon, who gets sent to Alcatraz because I don't even remember what the first thing he was accused of is. Do you remember why he's there?
I suppose murder.
Well, yes, but he gets accused of murdering someone in Alcatraz then, a fellow inmate. There's this scene where he murders someone. And I think if I remember correctly. Yeah.
It's been like at least 7 years since I last saw this.
Yeah. I mean, that's not really the most important thing, but Christian Slater also comes in then, and he's trying to defend Kevin Bacon, who once again I'm trying to be politically what's the word? Politically
correct.
I don't know what his condition is, but he's very, very you know,
traumatized.
Oh. Yes. That he's very, very traumatized of all. I forgot if he had like an illness or if it was just the trauma itself. It's been a while for me too.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
So he's trying to basically break him in a good way and trying to figure out what happened and all the things that he had to endure while being a prisoner in Alcatraz. And for whatever reason, I was really, really impressed by this film, and especially by Kevin Bacon's performance, because he is this sort of, as you said, this traumatized guy who you just feel for and you want to help him, even though, I mean, he did, or well, that's not what the movie is about, whether or not he did it. It really isn't. You see him do it, but it's about the conditions around him that made him do it, basically, and that they're really talking about the torture that he had to endure while in Alcatraz. Gary Oldman certainly playing a villain in this film.
Mm-hmm.
And H. Macy is in this too, William H. Macy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I forgot. Yeah.
Couple of great actors in there. R. Lee Ermey from Seven and from Full Metal Jacket, the instructor, the drill sergeant or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He's in this. And I don't think a lot of people know this film. So it only has like 27,000 ratings, and it is like it's like a good. It's got some courtroom elements to it as well, which I always love. So it's a nice little crime drama with courtroom elements about starring great actors and delivering great performances. So I really like that film.
I am surprised that it has so few ratings, but it seems like a big movie that isn't.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No,
it's a good shout out.
He's terrific, Kevin Bacon, in this. This is, I don't think you can stream this anywhere, unfortunately. There's a couple of special edition Blu-rays on Amazon. I thought about importing one from Scandinavian countries. Then now there's one in Germany for like $30, so I'm still waiting to buy it. But if it's on TV or whatever, it's certainly worth checking out. Murder in the First.
I mean, I gotta say, talking about Blu-rays, I think every single one of my picks so far, except for Edmond, I've got on Blu-ray as well. Because they're fucking good movies.
Yeah. What do you got next? We need to speed this up, I think. I have no idea where we are. This is ridiculous. But we're
fine.
We're fine. Let's go.
My number 5, Steven Universe. I knew you didn't think we could go through this without me mentioning something animated.
Sure.
And this is, I think, the only show on my list. But it's something
talked
special.
About this before?
Have I? I think
don't know.
maybe very shortly. I don't know.
Maybe.
Who cares?
Doesn't matter.
Who cares?
Doesn't matter.
Steven Universe. It's an animated show. It's by Rebecca Sugar, one of the writers of Adventure Time. And if you love Adventure Time, I think you could also get behind this. It's not as wacky and fucking acid trippy. But Steven Universe, it's about a boy with kind of superpowers living with gems, like these alien beings who have superpowers. And it seems very much like a kid show. It is at times, but it's got some very serious elements. And what the cool thing is about the show as well is it really goes into, without actually addressing it, gender identity, which is a big part behind it. And I think this is a cool thing that if kids watch it at an early age to learn what it's, that gender identity is a thing, but, it doesn't have to define you, or you can define it yourself. And it's got some really cool things like that in it. But apart from it, it's just fucking funny. It's got so many good songs in there, like Disney kind of ish songs. And I do listen to them still from time to time.
Sure you do.
I think a couple of seasons used to be on Netflix. Maybe they still are. Otherwise, you can watch it on Prime, but only in German. Otherwise, the internet is vast. I'm not saying anything, but there you go.
Didn't think I'd ever hear you say this. The internet is vast. I mean, that's a perfect way of going about it. Yeah, sure.
The more I talk about it, the more I think you're right. I think I've mentioned this before when we gave out Netflix recommendations, also when I talked about Over the Garden Wall. But
yeah.
Oh, well, this is my 5. What's yours?
Dude, you keep going on with these numbers. I have no idea what my numbers are anymore.
Okay, what's your next pick?
Next one, we have one of my favorites, Hidden Gems.
Let's go.
Where the Truth Lies. Where the Truth Lies. So this is a film written and directed by Adam Agoyan, who's, I think he's a Canadian filmmaker, whose films are all worth seeking out. I haven't seen all of them, but the ones I have seen were great. He did films called Exotica. He did The Sweet Hereafter, starring Ian Holm, the guy.
Sorry, what's Exotica again? That seems so familiar.
It's about a young girl who's a stripper at a strip club, and someone who's trying to maybe save her from that, if I remember correctly.
Okay, I think maybe I've just heard of it, but I haven't seen it. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, no worries. He also, I mean, my God, I'm looking through his IMDb now. He did, as I said, The Sweet Hereafter, which is probably most his acclaimed film. He did a film called Remember, which is on my honorable list today. I really think this is a film worth seeking out, starring Christopher Plummer. Mm-hmm. A great film. But on my list is Where the Truth Lies, because I don't think most people have heard of this film, and it stars, once again, Kevin Bacon, another appearance on my list, and Colin Firth and Alison Lohman. So Alison Lohman, the one from Matchstick Men, who plays Nick Cage's daughter.
The girl, yeah, sure.
Yeah. And this is about a couple of what was it, a late night showbiz duo played by Colin Firth and Kevin Bacon. And they were celebrities back in the day. And Alison Lohman's character is a journalist who, after their fame, is sort of investigating a murder that happened that those two guys are associated with, that happened around them. And she's trying to figure out what happened all these years ago, basically. And she sort of meets Kevin Bacon's character and tries to get information out of him. Then she gets Colin Firth and tries to get information out of him, because they're not really, I don't think they're friends anymore, if I remember correctly. And then obviously the trio sort of, their storylines intertwine. And it is this sort of crime, it's this murder mystery that the film is about, but also just a great character study on these two guys, especially, who have a very, very interesting relationship. Don't want to give too much away there, but this film, I always keep a list of recommendations and like really like hidden things. This film has like 17,000 ratings on IMDb. Unfortunately, there's no streaming way of watching this.
Sure.
I think it's on DVD. I still, I watched this at a friend's place. So the same guy with the Blu-ray collection, he showed me this film, and man, oh man, that was one of my favorite recommendations that was given to me. And it's called Where the Truth Lies. Once again, the less you know, the better. I think I didn't say too much. It's great.
When did this come out? Because, you know, the girl from Matchstick Man isn't that old.
This was in 2005. So it's about
Okay.
2 years after Matchstick Men.
Matchstick Man is that old?
Yeah, 2003.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I thought it was newer. Interesting.
Well, we talked about this in the documentary of Matchstick Men, the making of. She's like much younger than she... Oh, no, sorry, she's older in real
Older,
life than
yeah,
she
yeah, right.
plays.
Mhm.
So, yeah, she looks a lot younger than she actually is, Alison Lohman.
Interesting. Yeah.
Dude, this is one of... I can't stress enough how how worth this movie is... what am I trying to say? How worth it is to seek out this film.
Sure.
How
I'm
worthy.
glad that we are going to put in some names in the description so I can look them up. I can look them up later.
Yeah.
Too, you know?
Look up everything except the hidden face.
I don't know how to watch it then.
Fair enough, yeah. Fair enough.
Might have to borrow the DVD from you.
Yeah, I don't even have that yet, but
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Okay.
That's the one that's there's a French Blu-ray. But whatever. Once again, I digress. Where the Truth Lies, it has a 6 next to my list. So, yeah, it was my 6 when we started this list.
Sure.
Terrific film, by the way. Did I mention that? What do you got? What's your next one?
My number 4, something that I talked about before as well, like very shortly, which is The Wind That Shakes the Barley by Ken Loach.
Of course.
I don't think I've ever gone in depth about this movie, since it is an amazing film. It is an older film, but it's also not as well known as it should be.
Yeah.
And it is by Ken Loach, like I just said. He's a big director now. He's done many things like Sorry We Missed You, I think it's called.
Is that a big thing?
Well, it was big, like in the festival scene, at least.
Well, he did Kes, didn't he? That's his most famous film.
I haven't seen it, to be honest. But he's done like one or two other like big things that I can't think of right now. Anyway, he's a big director from England, I think, and The Wind That Shakes the Barley awoke my interest in Ireland. And it's with Cillian Murphy, an actor that I adore, Patrick Delaney in one of the leading roles, and with Liam Cunningham, also very much known now from Game of Thrones, of course.
Yeah.
And this movie is
Who does he
about
play?
a dude in the revolution.
No, in Game of Thrones, so that people
Can picture
his face.
The Onion Knight.
What? No, what's his name? Sir Davos, or wasn't it?
Davos. Yeah, Sir Davos.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. He's also called the Onion Knight.
Sure.
His insignia is an onion.
Sure.
Yeah, it's about the Irish Revolution, like very much the early days, which took place in the early 20th century, and Cillian Murphy is part of that. He sees the abuse some of the English soldiers deal to like the Irish people, and he's sick and tired, and he and many other people kind of form this militia and perform raids, and it's got some so amazing scenes and amazing shots, since it's filmed out way in the country in Ireland, which got some of the most beautiful like scenery for me, at least.
Mhm.
Like these like huge like hills and fucking grass and like flowers like as far as the eye can see. It's beautiful. And there's this amazing scene which I love, because there's a sport called curling with those, it looks like a mixture of like rugby, cricket, and baseball, maybe. Or rugby
Sure.
and cricket is kind of, you can picture something. They got this very special bats they hold and hit the ball with, and then they kind of use that, and apparently they actually did that back in the day to simulate a rifle to when they trained out in the fields, so when nobody could see them, and if they did, they just had fucking cricket. No, sorry, not cricket bats, curling bats.
Right.
And it's so well fucking acted, and I love those scenes. You just feel like you were there and you're part of this, and you just see this unfold, and it's got such heartbreaking scenes, and it's so well made, and it's a movie that I would never have seen if it hadn't been recommended by one of our teachers back in the day. And yeah, love it to this day.
Yeah, I haven't seen this.
Yeah?
Sorry. No, sorry.
No,
sorry,
go
sorry,
ahead, go ahead.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off there, so I'm sorry.
No, I just
Okay.
want to say it's not available on any fucking platform as far as I could see.
Brilliant.
Sorry, yeah.
No, I haven't seen this film, but from the moment I met you, this was a film that you talked about. And you lucky bastard, it's got 48,400 ratings.
I know.
Because there's so many films that I wanted to talk about that have like 55,000 ratings and things. Even like...
Dude.
Yeah.
There's one coming up which got 49,642.
Perfect.
So it might not be up to the might not be
that's
current in a
we'll
week.
We'll count it. Yeah, because after the surge, it gets the ratings that we'll add. our listeners are going to add to it. By the way, Ken Loach, maybe the one that's most commonly known nowadays is I, Daniel Blake.
Daniel Blake, that's a big one as well, right?
Yeah. No, The Winter Chicks of Barley, I need to see this. I haven't seen it.
It's great.
So,
I think I still got the DVD lying around somewhere.
Great.
By
the way, you still have the game, right? You still have my Blu-ray.
I still do.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah,
do you need?
Yeah.
Should I come by?
I just want to put it on the record, right?
Another little break coming up.
It's like 45 minutes later. There you go.
You just hear me in your microphone. Hey, dude.
We'll keep all the dead air in, like 45 minutes, and you take the microphone with you.
I just saw a rat walking by.
Best thing I've seen all week. Right. Ready to move on? Because I don't even know how long this is going to take. This is going to be. Number 5, or whatever, I'm sorry, 3 Identical Strangers. I can't believe it. I'm going to talk about a documentary. Have you seen this one?
No. What? No.
3 Identical Strangers.
Interesting, yeah.
So this is on Amazon. I actually own the Blu-ray. I imported it from the UK, as I like to do. I think it was nominated for Best Documentary. I don't think it won. Maybe it did. I'm looking it up as we speak.
Okay.
It was nominated for an Emmy? What the hell? Okay, whatever. Why was it nominated for an Emmy? Okay, never mind. Another one of those film/documentaries where there's things you don't need or you shouldn't know beforehand. But, as always, I'm here for you to tell you all just the necessary things. So this is about, obviously it's a true story, a documentary. It's from 2018.
Would be great if it wasn't.
It's like The Office, like a fake documentary. So it's from 2018, directed by Tim Wardle. And it is about the story of 3 young men who find out or figure out during the course of their youth, or I think it was like at college or whatever, that they have identical twins. And even there's 3 of them even. And they didn't grow up together. Right? So when he goes like to college, everyone greets him as if he was there before. And he's like, what the hell is going on? Only to realize that his identical twin was there before. And he has an identical twin. Yeah. And that is not what the documentary that's not even where it sort of ends. It's got so much more than that I'm not going to give away. It's so interesting what they reveal. It's honestly, it's one of those things where, what's the saying? Life is stranger than fiction. You couldn't come up with this. It's honestly like, there's some quote unquote twists in there that are like, that are better than like fictional films. It's amazing. So 3 Identical Strangers, probably my favorite documentary of the last years. And it's only got 32,000 ratings on IMDb, so I thought I'd pluck it on the list. It's definitely worth seeking out. Yeah.
It's not available anywhere, or sorry, is it also?
No, it is on Amazon. It is on
Amazon. I'm so sorry.
I don't think it's included, but let's look it up. 3 Identical Strangers. I did look. Yeah, it's $4. Everything is $4.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it's in. It's in English as well. Perfect.
Nice.
Yeah, perfect. So yeah, that's my whatever. What do you got?
Well, you're gonna get a kick out of this. My number 3 is a documentary as well.
Yeah,
which doesn't happen a lot with me, but this is also one of my favorite documentaries in recent times. I don't watch a lot of them. Oh, please, I'd love a guess.
I was going to look it up if this has less than 50,000 ratings.
Apollo 11?
No, is it Apollo 11?
No, it's an honorable.
Is it Won't You Be My Neighbor?
Nope, I haven't seen that.
Okay, sorry, what is it?
It's Jiro Dreams of Sushi.
Yes, sure.
Have you seen this?
No, I haven't seen this, but
It's amazing.
Yeah. I thought this would have way more ratings than that.
I thought so as well. It's got like 28, maybe.
34.
I wrote this 34. Yeah. There we go. Yeah. It doesn't, and I think this is like one of the best, one of the wellest made. Can't fucking talk. It's a
Most
very well-made. It's a well-made documentary, and also like the other one you mentioned, it's even got some twists and turns towards the end that I didn't expect, especially from this kind of documentary.
Yeah.
But it's about Jiro, who is said to be the best sushi maker in the world. He's got this very little restaurant in a subway station. It's very small. It's got like 5, maybe 10 seats, if at all. And he just has this fucking technique, and they show how much time and training goes into that, and how much training he demands from his students. It's like the first couple of years, I don't think you even get paid, and you just do like dishes and menial work and learn it in theory. And then even then, after years, you are finally allowed to do like an egg roll, and then you got to do it perfectly. And he doesn't tell you what you did wrong. He just tells you that's not good enough until you get it fucking perfect. Like take you through the steps of like doing this and that and the fucking craziest things that he's come up with, and the perfect technique. And his sons, who have also part of his shop now, and one of them has made like opened up his own one, which is I think supposed to be the second best sushi restaurant in the world, which is also in a subway station, and it's just identical to his, but it's it's mirrored. It is, you go in the left and you go in on the right. It's so fucking well made, and it not just if you love sushi, it's just the craft that goes in it, the perfection. Somebody tries to do something so many times until it is perfect, which is I think so satisfying to watch and sweet, because this man is so fucking old, and he's done this his whole life, and he has done it, and now he can say he's the best at it. And yeah, I think this is beautiful. The music is great in this. It just really underlines the emotional tones. It's included in Prime, I think, even in its original version.
No, unfortunately, from what I just looked at, that the German version is included, but the original one you have to pay $4
But
for.
I think it's, German version. It could be that it's, I think anyway, just in Japanese with subtitles.
Right.
So maybe it's just German subtitles.
Yeah, I haven't seen this. I've heard nothing but great things about it, and I'm always like fascinated how they could possibly make a story about a guy who makes sushi that interesting or great.
It's got a fucking story behind it.
I know.
It's
I haven't
crazy.
seen it. It must be amazing, but I actually want to see this. I love sushi.
Shout out to David Gelb. I don't know from where he's from.
Yeah.
I think this has been nominated or has won an Emmy as well for Best Documentary.
What's going on with these Emmys? Is that like for
I
not
have
theatrical
no idea.
releases, maybe? If they were just on TV?
They've got different criteria. I have no idea. Yeah, maybe. Could be.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my pick. I'm so glad that you also have a documentary on your list.
Try to, add some variety.
Sure. Keep them on their toes. Have you had a show?
No,
so
I was
far?
just about to say I
Okay,
don't have a
let's go.
show. I don't have a show. I do rate my shows, but I don't have one other than Normal People that has less than 50,000 ratings that I would include in this list.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I think I also took Steam Universe because I was so surprised that it had less than 50,000, because it's got quite a big fan base. But
yeah. So I think I have 2 things left. Is that right?
That is right. No, maybe 3. I think you have 3 things left, because that was my 3, and you start after me, so you should have 3 as well. Yeah.
No, I only have 2 things because I've mentioned like my 2 before, and I've had Birth, I've had Murder in the First, Old Man and the Gun, The Hidden Face, Where the Truth Lies, 3 Identical Strangers, The Green Butchers, The Guilty.
That's weird.
And now I have 2 more things. I think I'm right?
I have no idea. Sure.
Yeah. So my next thing is...
But then it's you who starts again.
Yeah, because of all
be
this
me?
thing, like... Yeah, but that's just because we did all this jumping around with like, that's my 2, let's talk about it now. I think that sort of messed up
Maybe.
the thing. Because
Sure, who the fuck cares? This is a special episode. Special rules apply.
So you have 3 things left, though?
I have 2 things left.
Oh, that was perfect.
But then it should be my 2.
It should be yours.
Second thing first. Anyway,
Very
just
weird.
go ahead. Just go ahead.
I got
Anyway.
Last Flag Flying.
I wanted to watch this, and I think for some fucking reason, on Amazon Prime, it was age-locked.
It was, and now it's not even on there anymore.
Okay.
I
So
remember
fucking
you
stupid.
talking about this
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah,
when I
because
saw
I
it.
really want to watch it.
I saw this at the Biennale, at the Viennese Film Festival, and it's probably my favorite. It's not a comedy, but it was the funniest film I've seen at that festival.
Okay.
Directed by Richard Linklater, and starring, I mean, one of my all-time favorites, Steve Carell. Then you have Bryan Cranston and Lawrence Fishburne in there. So, a movie from 2017. It's got 24,000 ratings. I don't know what is going on. So, Last Flag Flying, it's about a guy, Steve Carell, who loses his son, who was
in the military?
yes, thank you, that's the word. So he was his son was in the military, and he was killed in the Iraq War. And Steve Carell, Bryan Cranston, and Lawrence Fishburne, they're all like veterans too. They served together in Vietnam. And Steve Carell's character, he has to, or he reunites with his old friends in order to bury his son. So they rekindle their relationship, and obviously that war connection is apparent, obviously, and it's them sort of, it's such a sad story. I mean, they're driving towards the grave, and then deciding what to do with his body, and an unbelievably sad story, but their relationship, I don't think this is based on a true story, but it's written by Richard Linklater, as I said. It's based on a book. So it's their relationship. There were so many genuinely funny moments in this, and always fun moments in sad moments sort of get me most of the time when they're trying to make most out of a dire situation and sort of cheering each other up. They're all struggling in their lives. They're all, going through shit, and they're all like there for each other basically. And it's really a film about friendship. Scenes on there where I was literally like, if this is acted, I remember, I have to look this up. When I saw this on Letterboxd, I think I wrote a review for this where I was literally like, I have to look this up. I forgot I did this. Hold on a second. Where was this? Here we go. Because I love Steve Carell. There we go. I'm quoting my own review once again. I just said, I don't care what anyone says. Steve Carell is one of the best actors working today. And that film sort of solidified that to me. His performance in this is just amazing. I think he gives one of the most underrated performances of recent years in this film. And Cranston is fantastic too, and so is Fishburne. I mean, I think Fishburne, he's like a priest or pastor or something like that, and he always goes like, praise Jesus in every sentence. Which is just tickled me once again, you know?
I love that word.
I know you do. I just said it because of that. Yeah. Man, I don't even know. You need to watch this. I know it's difficult too, because I don't... there's also like a Blu-ray for this, but also only like in Australia or whatever.
Ah, Jesus. I mean, it's a good shout out. I would have loved to watch this. I don't know why it was age-locked, and I don't know why fucking Prime has an age-lock anyway, because you need a fucking credit card to have an account.
Yeah.
So obviously you're fucking 18 or older. This just pissed me off so much. Yeah.
Yeah, and this has no fucking reason to be age-locked. There's nothing in there that warrants an age lock.
I think it just might have been a mistake. I think there was something else. I don't know what it was. I think it was Don't Worry, He Won't Get Far on Foot, which was also age-locked for a time, and then it wasn't anymore.
Okay.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah. That's it, man. Last Flag Flying, one of my favorite recommendations too.
Nice.
More people need to see this. And there's a scene where on a train where they're all laughing. One of the funniest scenes I've seen in theaters.
Nice. So, I gotta watch this. Definitely. Well, my number 2 is by a director that I love, and for some reason I wrote down by Lou Reed, which is bullshit. I think I just
wow, this is a hidden gem. Wow, Lou Reed directed a film.
I thought of something else. I don't know why I wrote down Lou Reed. It's by Jim Jarmusch, a director that I adore. I know you don't like him very much.
No.
But he's one of my favorite directors. I've seen, I think, all of his movies except for one and 2 of his documentaries. It's Down by Law. It's one of his biggest movies, one of his breakout movies. And for some reason, it doesn't have 50K in ratings. It's got
Yeah.
49,000,
Yeah.
whatever I just said earlier. Down
I
by
think
law.
that's down to the
Yeah.
same reasons as what were the films we excluded, like the Kurosawa films, maybe
but I
older
think
kind of
this
films.
could be fair enough. But I think there are like big Kurosawa movies on there that have like, I don't know, 5,000 ratings, which is bullshit. But anyway, I mean, maybe fair enough. Maybe this should have been excluded as well.
No,
But
it should. I'm not
it's-
saying it because of that. I'm just
No,
yeah.
sure. But I think it's just a forgotten movie as well. I think Jim Jarmusch isn't a like big director for most people. I think if you are into his movies, you're into movies, and especially like maybe a bit more unconventional movies. And this is the movie, one of the movies that made me fall in love with this director. It's with Tom Waits, there we go, John Lurie, and Roberto Benigni, and they're all arrested. I think Tom Waits' character, John Lurie's character, it's been so many years, is framed for a crime, and the other two characters are nearby, so they all get thrown in jail. Or maybe it was all because of different reasons. Anyway, they all get thrown in jail for some reason, and they're there and they want to get out. And it's so hard to talk about the plot, especially since I love Jim Jarmusch movies, this one included. It's less about the story and more about the ride. And it's so fucking funny. The characters are so cartoonish in a way, especially Roberto Benigni's character. And I think it's so much worth a watch. I think this is, if you're like on the fence, you don't like artsy movies, quote unquote, maybe this is the kind of movie that kind of transcends that and can make you interested in it. And I think you might even like this. It's hard to say since you really don't like Jim Jarmusch, but I think he's got so many great fucking gems that are so underrated because most people just aren't into.
You
those
think I
kinds of
like this
movies.
film? Or
Maybe.
I have seen this.
You could. You have seen this. Okay, well
Yeah,
then
yeah.
you, I suppose, don't like it.
I really, really don't like this film, but I really feel out of place.
How come? What's what's wrong with it in your opinion?
Maybe I saw it in a bad state or whatever. I remember because a friend of mine is a huge Jim Jarmusch fan too, and he showed me this film years and years ago. And man, I really don't. I feel wrong talking shit about a film because maybe I was in the. It just didn't work for me. But
sure,
who cares? Like you're definitely in the majority, and people love that film. People love Jim Jarmusch. The only film that I've seen from him that I really enjoyed was Night on Earth. But Down by Law didn't really do it for me. But dude, as I said before, this is not about.
I get it.
It's not about
sure.
this, yeah.
I mean, yeah, it is more in the like artsy kind of way. That
yes.
The way that people don't like their movies,
Yes.
since it's less structured and
Yes.
more about this journey, more about the interactions than about the story itself, especially the
100%.
ending.
100%. And
but
I'm
what
the kind of guy who needs a little bit of structure.
Sure, but I mean, there are great movies that you also love that aren't like
right.
typical
right.
kinds of movies. But sure, I mean, there's a certain flair to it that you might have to appreciate.
Yeah.
And what a big part of that flair is the music, which is pretty much always fantastic in Jim Jarmusch movies. And here as well, Down by Law, the soundtrack is by Tom Waits and John Lurie.
Yeah.
They're both them. And yeah, they do some great songs.
Yeah.
For this. So yeah, that's my guess
it's on
too.
Prime.
So I think
$4.
it's on Prime, exactly. It's even on the in the original version.
Yes, sir.
You're right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So the last thing I have written down on my list, which has a 1 next to it, but we don't care about numbers. You talked about Billy Crudup in 20th Century Women.
Right.
My pick stars Billy Crudup in the I was about to say the titular role, but that's definitely not the case. But the main actor in my pick is Billy Crudup, and it's a film directed by William H. Macy. We're going full circle here today. Full circle here today. I think you know this film. I don't think you've seen it, but you remember me talking about this. If we're going to talk about hidden gems, we're going to talk about this film. It's got 18,000 ratings on IMDb.
Okay.
And it is Rudderless.
Yes,
do you remember this film?
I do. I think I got it in my watch list somewhere. Is it somewhere?
I own this on Blu-ray, and I think I paid 28 euros for this because I imported it from Australia, which was the only place that had this on Blu-ray.
That's fucking commitment. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I think this maybe tells you how much I enjoyed this film. It's not available anywhere to stream, unfortunately. at least from what I found in my quick research. So you're gonna have to borrow my Blu-ray. But
That's okay.
yeah, no, like to speak to everyone, like come over.
Do we still get that person from the Philippines who listens to us?
Sure.
All
We
right.
don't know if it's a VPN but yeah, sure.
Maybe
Yeah.
send us a postcard and your address. We'll
I'll
send you the
ship it
Blu-ray.
over. Yeah, I'll ship it over.
We just like it back in the next 6 months or so.
That's about the time it takes, I guess. Yeah. But I mean, Billy Crudup and Anton Yelchin, who I think you actually really like.
Well, I think he's a good actor.
Yeah, who
Was
sadly
yeah.
passed away by now 5 years ago already.
Yeah.
In
in a freak accident.
Freak accident. Yeah. I mean, one of the most talented young actors working.
Yeah.
For me, was that? I think he's a great actor.
He's good. I don't think I'm not sure if he was the most talented. I think
One of them.
It's hard to tell. I mean,
I
sure.
think definitely.
There's
one
so
of them.
many good people out there. I mean, he
Sure.
was good. I did enjoy him in quite a few things, but
Yeah. Well, this is
Yeah,
the film.
anyway.
This is the film. No, all good. This is the film that's my favorite performance of his too, because
sure.
Rudderless is about. Now, there's also some things that I don't want to give away, as always. But it's about a story. It's a story about a father who loses his son, and he finds a box. What's going on there?
So just the connection to Last Flag Flying.
Yeah, you're right. But he goes about it very differently because he finds some old tapes that his son recorded of him singing. And what Billy Crudup's character does in order to cope with his struggles and with grief, he decides to go up on stage and perform the songs that his son has written. So he goes up on stage with a guitar and he goes like, this is a song that my son wrote who recently passed away. And he goes and sings it. Now, it's not Billy Crudup who sings it, from what I remember in my looking up the trivia afterwards. But I think so. I hope I'm not, maybe it was him. But if I remember correctly, it's not him.
Let's keep the illusion alive.
Yeah. But from doing that, he meets Anton Yelchin's character and they form a band. And he's like the old guy in the band and he's sort of getting a new lease on life. I think that's the expression, sort of connecting and playing music with that group of young people. And it stars Selena Gomez. I mean, that's about as mainstream as it gets. And William H. Macy plays the bartender in like a small part. And Felicity Huffman, who's H. Macy's wife, she's in this as well as Billy Crudup's ex-wife. Or wife, I think it's ex-wife. But man, oh man, this film, it's got fantastic music. That soundtrack has been on my phone ever since I saw the film. It's got great music in there. It's a heartbreaking story that takes twists you don't quite expect. And it's one of my favorite performances, Billy Crudup as the grieving father. I mean, and you see him, like, there's so much depth in the things that he performs too. But because think about that. You find old songs and he just goes up on stage and performs them, and they're great songs. But he's like holding back tears, and it's a sweet story, man. It's a beautiful story.
Yeah, it sounds beautiful. Yeah.
And I'm leaving out certain things too. So
sure.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you've recommended this to me a couple of times now. And I still gotta watch it, and yeah, it does sound pretty good. I think this is the first time I actually learned what it's about.
Yeah.
And yeah, I gotta check it out. I always confuse Rudderless with Crazy Heart for some reason.
Yeah. I mean, but I get that confusion. Yeah. He's not as old as Jeff Bridges is, I think.
Sure. Jeff Bridges and Crazy Heart is on Disney Plus.
Is it?
It's on my watch list.
I mean, once again, Rudderless, unfortunately, I don't know where you can watch that, but if you can, the internet is vast.
That's the problem with these underrated or like hidden gem lists. It's so cool when you yourself have found something like that, but it's so hard to recreate it or, find them again.
100%. What do you got? What's your last one?
My number one, I think I've even told you this because I was so unsure if I
talked
about this before, is Lucky by John Carroll Lynch. And I think I've told like the story of how we saw John Carroll Lynch live when we did the Gyllenhaal special.
Yeah.
But I am not sure if I've talked about the movie. If I did, I'm so sorry for repeating myself. Then again, who listens to every episode? Maybe you've not seen the episode, heard the episode, so this might be news to you.
I don't think you've gone into depth yet. I just
I
think
hope
you mentioned
so.
it once. Yeah.
But Lucky is a movie that came out in 2017, so fairly new. And in the leading role, in the titular role actually, is Lucky, played by Harry Dean Stanton, who was a big actor back in the day. He's done, if you watch like movies from the 70s, 80s, etc., you've seen him probably quite a few times. He's been in a lot of things, especially since he lived to be over 90 years old. And this is one of the most beautiful things about this story, since it is pretty much very similar to the real Harry Dean Stanton, the character, about a guy at the pretty much end of his life who is afraid to die because he's an atheist and has to kind of come to terms with that, and has his life. He pretty much does the same thing every day, and it's pretty much just about the topic of death and how to find closure with that, or maybe not to find closure. And it's got some very like
Ambiguous?
Ambiguous. Thank you so much. I want to say ambitious, but that's not the word. Okay. Ambiguous. That's very good. Ambiguous, like imagery and scenes.
Yes.
Which kind of hint to like death and the afterlife. And this movie spoke to me a lot, since death is a topic that I think about a lot for some reason. I'm kind of fascinated by it, and I do have very similar views on it than the leading character does. So I think this was just fairly special to me. But I think this is a movie that could be very dear to many people, but they just hadn't had a chance to see this, since it wasn't like promoted that much, I think, apart from like the festival scenes, and it didn't play in a lot of theaters, if in any like big ones. And I think this is just amazing. Like just him being about and talking about his life, and being in part so open about how he is, aware that he's about to die soon, but also so terrified of it, which is a depressing fucking talk you can have with somebody that age, but it's something that a lot of people have to think about at some point. And it's so interesting to get his view on it, especially since the director said when we saw him at the festival, like a lot of his behavior and mannerisms and things that he does in the movie are based on the real Harry Dean Stanton. And I think this is what makes it so special.
And I mean, what's so sad and poignant too is that Harry Dean Stanton passed away in the same year that this film came out.
I think, even before it came out, in the post-production, his very last movie. It's so fitting. It's such a beautiful end to, his life and his career. Very similar to The Old Man and the Gun.
Yeah, I was just thinking of that. But Robert, he's going strong. He just turned 85 like a couple of days ago, actually.
Alive, yeah. He still looks so good for his age,
though. He does. That's one good-looking man.
But yeah, that's my number one, I guess, in a way. It's very dear to me, but like Down by Law is also a movie that I adore. So, it's hard with numbers with this list, but I think people should really check this out, because nobody that I've talked to so far has even heard of this movie. And I think it deserves so much more love than it has received so far.
And I'll let you have one guess. It's available on Prime for $4.
It is on Prime. I even wrote this down. Thank you so much for reminding me. Even in the original version.
Yeah, everything's $4 these days, apparently.
And pretty much everything that we've talked about, if it is available, it is on Prime.
Yeah, nothing's on Netflix, That's what I've always been saying, that Prime has the better hidden gems than Netflix.
If you are willing to pay extra money.
Yes.
That's kind of the thing. Netflix, you can just, click through and see whatever is there. But with Prime, you got to either find something on purpose because you're looking for it, or you got smaller like range in what is included, especially just the interface. It's just so much easier to browse for things on Netflix.
I guess. But sometimes even the good things are included in Prime, like the hidden ones.
Sure.
Sometimes, in rare occasions. But I think that's it, right? Do we have like honorables?
A couple.
Let's rattle through these.
I'll rattle through them. Daria, which is a
Sorry?
Daria. That's a show, an animated show from the 90s. It's pretty much as old as me. Played back on MTV back in the day.
Yes.
Very good. Ledem, or whatever, how you ever pronounce it.
I'm sorry?
Deerskin. Yeah, I love this movie. It's got like 7,000 ratings.
Oh, that's a great shout.
Yeah,
Quentin
I want to put it
Dupieux.
on my list, but I wasn't sure if we talked about it before.
I don't. Yeah, at the Biennale special.
Yeah, that could
Pretty
be.
sure we did. Yeah.
Um,
That's a great pick.
Princess Kaguya. I've already talked about this. I think at some point.
There's the
although
princess.
it's not something new. Love this movie. Great Studio Ghibli movie. Over the Garden Wall, of course. The Red Turtle.
Yes.
Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency.
You talked about this one too.
I could be El Clan, which we watched together.
Oh.
Really enjoyed that one.
We watched that together?
Yeah, Top Kino.
I thought I watched this with someone else. But yeah, sure,
No.
I'll take your word for it.
Pretty
I
sure
remember
it was
the
us.
film. Yeah. I remember the film.
Old Man the Gun, of course. Stranger in Paradise, one of the very first movies Jim Jarmusch ever did. Also, Midnight Train. Mystery Train.
Yeah.
Klaus Sis Marie, already talked about this. An American Crime, which I recommended to you, which is a very fucked up movie based on a real story.
What was that one again?
With Elliot Page, the girl who was
Oh,
locked.
I actually watched
away.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
dude.
fucked
Yeah,
up,
that's
dude.
another great pick, though.
That's one of the few hidden gems I gave to you.
Yeah, you're
and
right. I actually
that's
remember
such-
that discussion. Yeah.
Such a fucked up movie. Christ.
Yeah.
I think I like the movie, but I hate remembering it because it's horrible.
Yes.
But go watch it. Might be on Prime.
Yeah. It probably is, yeah.
Then of course I got all the Japanese movies like Seppuku,
Fucking hell.
Sanjuro,
How many
etc.
honorables? Yeah.
Proof, we talked about it in the Gyllenhaal special, so
Sure.
I'll leave it out. And Pieces of a Woman, which was too recent, but amazing. That's
That
my
doesn't
list.
have more than 50K?
Not so far. Pieces of a Woman.
Yeah, you're right.
I forgot how many, but it's came out this year, so it hadn't had a fair shot so far.
Yeah. I only got a couple down because The Brothers Bloom, which has 49,875 ratings.
Perfect. Okay.
Ryan Johnson film about two con men.
Mhm.
Have you seen that film? It's a great film.
I think you've talked about it once before, not in a podcast, but I think when we talked about Ryan Johnson, you mentioned it.
Yeah.
Or I might be off.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's like a con men who like do a lot of great tricks to brothers, obviously. And then Rachel Weisz enters frame. Then we have The Grand Seduction.
Okay, no idea.
Which, terrific film with Brendan Gleeson and Taylor Kitsch about a dentist at a small, fishing village. Sorry, not a dentist, a doctor, a young doctor who charms everyone's hearts in a fishing village.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I forgot two honorable mentions, and I'm going to be so surprised if it's not going to be on your list. But
Okay.
You go ahead.
Well, I only have one, actually, because
Mhm.
remember, we already talked about that's that other Adam Egoyan film with Christopher Plummer.
Mm-hmm.
And the last one, which has, I think, less than 10,000 ratings, I just want to shout it out. It's a movie called The Music Never Stopped, starring J.K. Simmons, about, I think, based on a true story, about a father who reconnects with his son through music. And the
Nice.
son is...
Rudderless.
no, the son is... the son passes away in Rudderless. And here the son has some sort of illness. I unfortunately forgot what that was. Or maybe it was an accident. I should write these things down before.
Sure. I mean,
The Music Never Stopped. 2011. 8,000 ratings. And it's about a guy. Hold on. The last sentence I'm going to do.
Sure.
He suffers from a brain tumor, the son.
Okay.
That prevents him from forming new memories. And they rekindle their relationship and reconnect over music, and because when he listens to music, he's sort of happy. So really small.
What was the
gem.
movie called?
The Music Never Stopped.
The Music Never Stops. Right.
The Music Never Stopped. That's it. What
Nice.
were the two ones
Sorry,
you had?
I forgot. Sorry, three. First of all,
Jesus.
Apollo 11. I
Oh, yeah.
mentioned this very shortly. The second one is Smoke. Really enjoyed that movie.
What's Smoke?
It's an older movie, so it's not that fair. With Harvey Keitel and William Hurt, and Harvey Keitel plays a guy who owns a tobacco shop in New York.
Yeah.
Slice of life movie, very good. The last one is, I think you've forgotten about this. Didn't make my list, I guess, but The Art of Self-Defense. 33,642, I think.
Well, we talked about this one, haven't we?
I mentioned that I watched it, and I think that's it.
I think I mentioned it too when we talked
Yeah.
about because I did like the quotes of like when you that's the sacred belt when there's a $15
Right.
charge for it. I think I excluded that for because I thought
Okay,
we talked
okay.
about it
Very
before,
good.
but that would make my list. I love that film so
And
much.
it could have been one of the recommendations back in the early parts
I'm
of the
not
show.
sure. I'm not sure, but
I don't know
I
when
think
else
we talked
would
about
have
it. We
talked
talked about
this.
it. We
Yeah,
talked- I
okay.
just mentioned that I
Perfect.
rewatched it, and so yeah,
Okay,
But yeah.
perfect.
it's a good film. Seek it out if you haven't.
Yeah.
It's probably on Prime. I think it's actually
It
included
is.
in Prime. Yeah,
It is included, I think, because I recently rewatched it as well. Yeah.
Yeah, same. I watched it again. So
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway, this is probably I don't know. I don't want to edit this, but
Who
I have
does,
to.
huh?
But let's end it here. It's one of the greatest episodes we've ever recorded, I think.
Could be. Yeah. One of the most structured, probably.
Absolutely. That's what I mean. Yeah. One of the most professional, with no hiccups whatsoever.
But your last man standing.
Definitely not. We'll do that again next week. And
Sure. I don't think next week. I think there's so many good things to
yeah, a
talk
couple
about
of good
next
things.
week. We
We'll
might
see,
not
we'll
have time.
see.
I mean,
we'll see.
sure, we'll see.
So I love talking about hidden gems. I hope some of the things that we talked about are of interest to you. I hope you can seek them out. And if you do, please let us know what you think of them and let us know your favorite hidden gems or underrated, underseen movies. I don't know what to call this episode because underrated isn't really right because people that have seen it rate the film. But underseen doesn't really sound right. So I
mean,
think
you
hidden
can-
gems maybe.
Underrated in quotes.
Right.
Underrated because it hadn't been rated enough.
Right. It's not over 50,000 yet. Yeah, maybe.
Sure.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed this and have a great week. And thank you so much for listening.
Yeah. Thank you so much for stopping by. It's been a blast. It turned out way differently than I expected it would. But I had fun. I hope you did too. Check us out on any podcast platforms if you're interested. We're on pretty much anywhere. We're pretty much available anywhere where you get your podcast from. The fifth time I've done blah. I hope you edited
No, I
them
cut
all
out the other 4 ones.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank
yeah,
you.
yeah,
So
yeah.
perfect. Except for this one, of course.
Yeah.
We're on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, etc. I'm so sorry, I'm tired. You can check us out at Best Thing Radio on Instagram and Twitter. Check out the cover art that Flo is going to design for this week's special as well. I'll try to help you out to find a couple of images. Consider dropping a like, subscribe if you can. If not, it's fine as well. Yeah, I love your suggestion of you like writing down a hidden gem that you have because that's such a cool thing. That's something that gets discussed way too rarely.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've had a blast. I'm tired. I'm gonna maybe open
Cook something
another
good?
Guinness
Oh,
and go to bed.
okay.
Sure, I'll cook tomorrow. Because my
Bye.
kitchen looks like shit once
Thank you,
again.
thank you, thank you.
Woo! Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.